Hey everybody, what's going on? We got some AC/DC news in regards to Axl Rose. So Airborne frontman was interviewed about AC/DC, and he talked a bit about Angus Young and said how Angus Young has the biggest balls in the world because he's right now touring without his brother Malcolm. And then they had all this unfortunate stuff happen on their beginning of their tour, like their drummer Phil Rudd couldn't even tour. Then they had to get Chris Slade back in the band. He hadn't played with them in years, and they had to quickly rehearse and get back on the road. He also talked about how Brian then had to bow out of vocal duties, then Axl took over. And he said that he basically asked, is Axl Rose there anymore? He said, I don't know. I heard Axl did a good job. That's what a lot of people said, that he sang the songs really well. He also continued, he said, I think with AC/DC, with Angus, all I can say is that he's incredibly brave to do what he did, to just keep going and rock. I don't care. We're never going to go bust. I take my hat off to that never say die attitude. And who knows what can happen now. Anything's possible with AC/DC. They might have 2 years off and then decide to get the band back together. And then Phil Rudd, who's AC/DC's ex-drummer, he talked about what he thinks Angus Young should do next. And according to him, he doesn't think Angus Young should hang it up just yet. He said that he told Eon Music in a recent interview that he's spoken with Brian Johnson, whose status with AC/DC is, of course, unclear, after he was forced to leave earlier this year due to hearing loss. He said, I've had contact with the guys in the crew. I've heard from Brian. I spoke to Brian a couple days ago. We were talking about cars and how effing useless he is, how much quicker I am than him. He's doing all right. And he also talked about whether he thinks Angus Young should hang it up now that Phil Rudd, Brian Johnson, and Malcolm Young and Cliff Williams are no longer part of the band. Phil said, no, I don't think that's a good idea. Angus has never played better than he did on the Rock or Bust album. He's playing effing great. What's he going to give it up for? That's like effing Napoleon not finding somewhere else to effing conquer. And if you guys want to read the entire interview and see the entire article, I've linked to it down below. We've got one last piece of AC/DC news. So the last piece of AC/DC news is, according to Rolling Stone, AC/DC is prepping an expansive rock or bust tour book by photographer Ralph Larman, who documented the 17-month tour. So it's going to chronicle the tumultuous rock or bust tour. It's scheduled to be published in the first half of 2017, according to Ultimate Classic Rock. And it's going to be billed as the first official AC/DC photo book. So it's going to be called the Rock or Bust Tour Book 2015. Will feature photographs from Ralph Larman, who shot the band throughout their nearly 17-month trek. And the book will include facts, figures, and tour memorabilia. Rufus Stone will publish a Rock or Bust, which will also be available in several editions, including a leather and metal collector's version with a slipcase boasting a glowing AC/DC logo. And pre-sale is set to begin next spring, while the fans can register now for updates via the book's website. So it'll open with the headlining set at Coachella, but the group was already undergoing significant change at that time. So prior to recording their LP Rock or Bust, as you guys know, Malcolm Young had to pull out of the band because of his deteriorating health. And then we also had Phil Rudd, who also wasn't able to tour, even though he recorded on the album. So I'm kind of curious to know whether they're actually going to be including any photos of Axl. The article's not really clear about that. All they talk about is that Axl filled in for Brian. But if it's dated 2015, maybe they just look at the 2015 photos. But I'm guessing there'll be some photos of Axl in there as well. That does it for today's video, guys. Thanks for watching. If you want to stay up to date on the latest Guns N' Roses related news, be sure to hit the subscribe button. Take care.